You know, in some of our conversation, we could talk about 1 to 10, but I'm going to skip that one only because a lot of you are like, yeah, pretty much that's where we're at. But it's this one. If we take our eye off for at least a little bit what's happening in our parishes and talk about this notion, because this is Matthew 28. This is the whole reason, according to our church diet, the whole reason we even exist as a church is to evangelize. We do not exist so everybody comes to Mass. Coming to Mass is important, but it's a byproduct of something else. The whole purpose is to multiply the kingdom so that all these people in these beautiful neighborhoods around here in this beautiful winding road that we took to get here, every one of those homes has a story. And every one of those people have a story. And many of them are living in some sort of pain. And I don't mean physical pain, though there's obviously people who have it. But there's something going on. And the church is the great healer. But in absence of being with people in relationship, you don't do that. And if you're always going to wait for them to come to you, you're hanging out, as we would say, in the temple as the Pharisees did. And they're not out with the people. So if it was really about multiplying the kingdom and not protecting our own comfort, what fights do you think we would need to pick? Look, every parish has a way of doing, right? That's not producing fruit. In order to get it to produce fruit, we're going to have to prune some things. But in order to prune some things, it's going to require conflict. I don't mean fights. You were talking about rebuilds and divine renovations and all these, right? And so in the book, and I know all those guys, and we lived that 30 years ago in Chicago. We just weren't smart enough to write a book about it, right? But we did that. We had a parish that was at 1,200 households, went to 6,700 households in 7 years. But on the front end of that, we realized that the church really was living in this culture that was its own bubble. And it refused to break out of that bubble, even though there are all these people that would never know the Lord because this bubble refused to break out of itself. People had their way of doing things. Closets are my closet, and don't you do that. That's my cart. We get that Saturday. And right, what are some of the fights in your parishes that if we could have the courage, we might have to ask some serious questions and potentially pick that fight for the sake of the kingdom, not because we don't like those people, right? Because we always have to guard against, because we want the church our way. We always have to guard against that. The evidence is that we're not growing. And so our methodology must change. We are not producing the fruit that we desire, so why do we continue with the same things?